All right. Good evening, everybody. It's fantastic to be here. The final day of an amazing 8-day extravaganza we had. I mean, it's been such a beautiful mix of talent from all over the world coming here live into the hearts and minds and homes of all the Bangladeshi youth. And I'm sure it's not just the youth from the universities or the young professionals, everyone, even the seniors, the CEOs, everyone has benefited so much. And we are so excited to bring you another component of today's session. So today I've been given the honor of hosting this session. My name is Ranjan De Silva. I'm a CEO, success coach, and executive team leader catalyst. I have been in Bangladesh in and out for the last 20 years. So no stranger to here. So let me greet all of you as with an assalamu alaikum. And I hope all of you are having a good time. Today we have an exciting panel. Let me introduce the first panel member to join me, and that's BJ Radomski coming in, and we're going to call him BJ. That's the way he's known. Hi, BJ. Would you like to say hi to the audience and say a few words?
Hi, Ranjan, and welcome to everyone who's been joining this. It's been an amazing opportunity for me to partake in it, and the ideas that are being shared with you, I'm sure you're just getting pages of notes from some of the brilliant speakers that we've been seeing over the past few days. So welcome.
Fantastic. And we also have Mr. M. Shabbir Ali, who is from the CHRO of the City Group, the HR director, and he's with us as well. Welcome, Shabbir. It's such an honor to have you today. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. And I would like to invite you to speak a few words to the audience as well.
Thank you very much. Good evening to everyone. And it's really a great opportunity to get connected with the CKH network. Such a valuable program, and I'm really, very honored and really excited to get to know something new from you, like BJ and Ranjan De Silva and others are there. Thank you very much for adding me.
Fantastic. So let me talk a little bit about the format for today's session. So the topic is about HR development as a profession, human resource development as a profession. And that's why we have a great panel. By the way, we have two more panel members, Mr. Faisal Imtiaz Khan, who will be joining us, and he's the CHRO from Robi. And then we have Mr. Mohammed Ferdous Ismail, who is from bKash. So we have some interesting talent, both CHROs and amazing panel. So they will be joining, and as we go on, we will introduce them as they come in. So the format is this. I would invite each of the panelists to start with giving a short introduction of themselves and a key message, because I know all of us have some key passion word, some message, which is the core of our practice. So each of the panelists will start by introducing themselves and giving a core message, what is important for HR development as a profession. And that will be maximum of 3 minutes. And after the 3 minutes, we will then take your questions. So please do type in the questions in the chat, and then I will pick those questions and direct it to any of the panelists whom I feel might be best to answer. Some of those questions might even go to 2 or more panelists as well. So may I invite BJ to do a quick introduction of yourself and give a key message, what might be most useful to the audience.
Thank you, Ranjan. I'm happy to go first. I'm very conscious you said 3 minutes, but I did just have a cup of coffee, so I might need you to stop me if I get carried away. My name is BJ Radomski. Originally, I'm from Canada. I've been in Southeast Asia for 22 years now. My home is Bangkok. I've worked in Bangladesh. I've been 6 times there, and most of the rest of my work is here. I focus on 2 things. I develop leaders, and I do this by working with groups, usually executive teams, and working with people one-on-one. like executive coaching. And it's from this experience that I'll be bringing my ideas to today's topic. And let's do a very, very quick definition. HRD is a profession. So this is for your future decisions. A profession is more than a job. A profession is a way that you can be in alignment. You can be expressing your values, expressing your passions, while still getting paid, right? That's an important part. And now, as Ranjan has said, it's HR development, right? We're not talking knowledge management, or it's development. Develop what and develop who. So for me, the key areas that I see and the competencies for those entering this are, one, we need to work with individuals and organizations to get past their view of the world. I call it their matrix. If you've seen the movie The Matrix, to get past their perspective of how they move, how they see their country, the industry, their colleagues, and themselves. The second area is to improve the executive thinking. And this part really draws from what we're learning now in neuroscience. Thinking is very hard, and thinking is very rare. And so we need people to think clearly in our organizations. A third area is that I've seen extremely common is people have a behavior trait that gets in their way, right? I mean, any strength, if you don't manage it, becomes a weakness, like me going past my 3 minutes, perhaps. So this is more than assessments. It's once the assessment is done, or once a 360 is done, how do we use cognitive behavior psychology to create behavior change in the people we work with in our organizations? And the last area, I think, is, especially, it's been a challenge in this virtual world of how do we create collaboration when the foundation, the fundamentals of all our businesses is competition. We compete for jobs, we compete for dollars, we compete, every thread of our organization is based on competition. And somehow through that, we need to escort people all the way to collaboration. And that's understanding group dynamics. So these are the main areas that I see are needed as HRD, should you choose this to be your profession. 3 minutes up?
I would think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll hold it lightly, though. So I think key message, I suppose, is the importance of moving into collaboration in this very competitive world. And I think this is such an important task for HR heads. How to ensure teams collaborate with each other, individuals collaborate, how to have that beautiful mix between competition and collaboration so that we still continue to grow without bringing in the toxic energy, the negativity into the team. Now, if you have any questions in that area, please do type in so that we can collect those and put it in, because you might already have questions. So how do you sort of, in this competitive word, collaborate? Might be a great question. Similar questions, please do ask as it comes in. Can I now invite Mr. M. Shabbir Ali, the president and of HR Club in Bangladesh, and director and group HR of City Group. Can I invite Mr. Shabbir Ali to please introduce yourself a little bit and then talk about your key message for HR professionals to start with?
Thank you very much. As BJ said, limit is very limited. So let me take you through. I've got total 26 years of working experience. It's a combination of manufacturing to service sector organization. And out of these 26 years, I have worked 20 years in manufacturing related organization and 6 years in service sector organization. But my initial perception was, the way I was planning my career was, I will do 50-50 in both the sector. But in fact, probably for the manufacturing interest, I came back again in manufacturing sector. Out of this whole career, I have started working with tea and then fertilizer. I have worked with pharmaceutical, worked with telecommunication, finance and banking, and then oil and gas. And then I have started working with the group of companies that takes into consideration hospital, manufacturing, and everything. So it's a very interesting that while going through all these varied sector of service organization, what I've found is what is difference is process, business process, understanding the business process. For an HR professional, it is important to understand the business process, whatever may be the business, let it be banking, let it be telecommunication, or let it be manufacturing. This is very important for an HR professional. And the other thing is that by understanding the process, then you understand the business, and then you start adding value into the business. That is what is the basic challenges of HR professional. And in doing that, HR professional does another important work, that is promoting employee excellence. Because if you promote employee excellence, only then the business excellence is possible. Because once upon a time, HR was that it was a support function, but it is no more a support function. It has become a strategic function. So nowadays, I mean, the business leader, they expect HR to sit in the business table discussion and then add value into the business. Without adding value, the existence of HR is no more.
Correct.
So each and every HR professional should focus promoting employee excellence so that we can bring in business excellence.
So fantastic note to start the session, how HR needs to look at yourself, not as a people management function, but more strategic function. And in order to be strategic, you need to understand all processes of the business, understand the entire business and what goes on, and then they would know what kind of support they can provide in developing their organization. So great message to start with. And I'm sure there's loads of questions which is coming up now on how to do that. And that's what I suppose we are going to focus on. You may have to give away some of your trade secrets as well as we try and start sharing some of this. I will also introduce myself and give my key message. Then we will, as the other speakers come, we will invite them as well. So I'm part of an organization called Sensei International, and Sensei International has its branch office in Bangladesh under Sensei Wisdom, and Sensei Wisdom's managing director is our own coach Kamrul Hassan, and we are so excited that Sensei can be a part of this. We are kind of at the background, but it's Kamrul's passion and energy which goes forward, and perhaps that gives us so much. And that's why I'm actually dressed in a CKH Network t-shirt, because my heart and soul is fully part of CKH, being a part of Sensei. I personally came to Bangladesh in the year 2000 to set up Agora supermarket chain as a consultant. And that made me meet so many other clients, so many friends, and have ended up in the last 20 years visiting Bangladesh almost once a month for 20 years. So how many times is that? 180, whatever. And I've also lived in Bangladesh for a few years. I lived 3 years when I was CEO for Agora. I took a little sabbatical from my work and started working as CEO. Then I worked as CEO for Apollo Hospital in Bangladesh as well. And my work has taken me to 24 countries. And what I do is to help organizations to be the best they can be by helping leaders engage their people to deliver strategic business results. So that's what I do. The key message I want to give to you is that from a HR perspective, I think connecting with what we heard from the other two gentlemen is that what's important at the end of it is everyone who is working should put their heart and mind into the work, be passionate about what they do. And in order to be passionate, find the right role for you. So one of the HR responsibilities is to put the right person in the right place in terms of the strategic requirements of the company and the individual. So it's matching these two and making sure that the right team dynamics are there as well, because within the team, based on the individual personalities, team dynamics are different. So putting the right person in the right place, have the right teams based on the strategic imperatives of the company. And that's so important for me. And one of my personal philosophies is there's no right answer or wrong answer for anything. What is right for me may not be right for you. What work for Shabbir may not work for BJ, because we are all different. We come from, so there may be HR tools, HR concepts, HR models and formulas and everything. And there's no guarantee that that's going to suit every problem. So I think one of the requirements of HR is to develop the thinking skills, ability to look at problems, look at the reality, look at opportunities, look at the tools and concepts available, adjust it, modify it, and find your own unique answer, so that you become relevant and real, dynamic, not someone who brings formulas and paste. So that's perhaps my two key messages, which I would like to share. Let's look at some of the questions coming up. We have a question for BJ from Sabrin Biswas. Can I please know the effect of behavioral change in team collaboration? And I know the effect of behavioral change in team collaboration. I'm sure that's clear enough. Or if you want elaboration, we can ask Sabrin to talk about it.
Okay, thank you, Sabrin, for that question. So the effect of behavioral change in team collaboration. So we'll take a look at I'll answer the team collaboration part first, and then how we bring behavioral change into that. Team collaboration is not natural for us to come together. Again, the foundation of businesses primarily in the back of it is about competition. We compete when we get hired, we compete for promotion, departments compete for budget, right? You know, we've got warehousing wanting to keep inventory down and sales wanting to keep things up, or inventory up. So to get to collaboration, we see there's going to be some flexing that's needed in everyone's personality style so they can find some common ground. And when we're first coming to work together, to truly trust one another, to get into collaboration, there's apprehension because we know that in the past in our life, people have hurt us, right? And there's always that danger that if we go too far, we could get hurt again in our organization. So the behavioral change gets into what are the aspects of my behavior that might be a roadblock for others to feel trust with me. And so maybe my personality type is I'm one that's very dominant, or I'm very talkative. So in a team collaboration, I'm going to need to scale that back perhaps a little bit. I'm going to have to adjust a behavioral change so that it allows all of us to come together so that the group dynamics can take place. If not, we'll have what looks like collaboration, but it's really some people being silent and some people being dominant. So behavior change is where we need to adjust. Maybe what got me here is actually a roadblock to collaboration. So does that answer, Sabrin, or do you have a follow-up question for that?
Yeah, I think if there's a follow-up question, she will type it in. So we can perhaps move on. So there's another interesting question which is directed at Shabbir. In fact, there are two questions, and I'm going to ask both of you from you. It's kind of connected to each other. So Nishat Tabassum says, how to get a HR job without any experience? So you'll have to say whether you get a job or not, but how to get it. But I suppose connected to that is another question which will help you to elaborate on the first question, is being a HR this is from Estanul Kabir Russell, who says, being HR professional, what are the behavioral index you look for in new hires or from fresh graduates? And the request specifically is from the Director HR of Citigroup. So I suppose a new hire, someone doesn't have any experience. I suppose it's all connected, I suppose. Over to you, Shabbir.
Thank you very much, Russell, for asking such a very practical question. I mean, most of the new entrants, they have the similar type of question. So let me answer you in this way. that university graduate, what do we expect from a fresh graduate is the openness to learn. First thing we assess, we don't go for assessing HR skill first. At first, we want to know their openness to learn, whether the candidate is ready to learn or not. First thing. Second thing we look for is minimum, awareness about the tech savviness. This is very much important that having knowledge in Microsoft Excel is very much important nowadays. Without the knowledge of Microsoft Excel, you can't work with the ERPs, because in most of the organization now we operate with, from the day one, ERP is very much essential. So we look for something that is called tech savviness. Your Microsoft Office skill is very important. And then we look for your communication skill. So in HR, because every day you need to communicate with people, because that is an organization. Because if you do not communicate, you know many things, you are expert of many things, but if you can't communicate, in that case things will get stuck up. So we look for these three basic things: communication skill, tech savviness, and I told you about the openness to learn. So these are the basic three things that we look for before hiring anyone in HR. Yes, your knowledge in HR could be business administration in HR, or could be psychology, could be sociology, could be management, could be any other, even finance. Even the engineers are nowadays coming into HR. So all are welcome. I mean, there is no barrier to enter into HR profession. Anyone can come and work in HR. So the behavioral index, if you say, yes, we look for, I have clearly mentioned that your openness should be there. Another important thing is that listening skill, that also very important in the interview that we do assessment, that how well the candidate is listening. Because if a person can listen well, he can adapt well in HR. If a person can better communicate, he can adapt well in HR. And of course, the tech savviness, that is the basic thing. And your readiness to learn. These are the basic things that we look for in HR.
So
could I answer? Yeah.
I hope that has answered. And I think we'll get a comment, because already Sabrin has commented that BJ's answer is clear. So that's done. I'm sure your answer is clear as well. At least it was for me. There's a question directed at me, which I will take now, which is, what are some of the challenges or roadblocks one might come up against in the HR role? What are the challenges or roadblocks one might come up? And this is from Omi Hassan. And so my answer to this is, where HR must realize that HR is not responsible for all managing all the people. It has to be delegated to the line managers. HR and line managers or functional managers cannot delegate everything to HR. HR's job is to ensure that all the functional managers become HR managers or human resource managers or people managers of their people. So part of it is HR has to drive the whole idea, that the importance of how to manage people, importance of using emotional intelligence, importance of recruiting the right people. And some of it requires processes. So there are clear recruitment processes to follow so that the right people get hired. There are clear processes on onboarding, inducting, clear processes of developing people and placing people in different roles. There are clear processes of reviewing and evaluating performance and recognizing performance, remunerations, promotions. So all this is process driven. And sometimes functional managers are so busy with their functions, they tend to take the shortcuts. They feel this is an unnecessary extra work they have to do. So I think one of the biggest challenges a HR manager has is to convince all the other managers to really follow those processes, and not following just to tick mark, but following really with the intention of developing and having the right people in the right roles, so that finally the company's business grows. I suppose that's one of the big roadblocks, but I think this is such a practical question. I would also like Mr. Shabbir to answer this from a very practical Bangladeshi kind of perspective as well. the same question. Maybe something else to add if you have any.
Okay, I will refer you one small theory, that is the situational leadership theory. If you go through the situational leadership theory, you will find entering into an organization, the obstacle that the guy is facing is that Ranjan has rightly identified. It starts from the employee engagement perspective. How the person is going to engage into the organization. And here there are two types of role. The candidate himself has to have some patience and the ability to adapt with the environment. And at the same time, the line supervisor or the manager has got his or her role as well. So what the new entrants, what sort of challenges they are going to face? At the very initially, so many things. Bring the paper, give me the file, do this photocopy, go and call him, make this schedule and get me this done. So these are the small sort of thing. When someone is joining in an organization, these are the usual things. Sometimes think that, am I here to do this petty job? No, those are only to assess your ability to follow instructions. Because once you get acquainted gradually with people, your first role will be, and in new entrance, first role will be to adapt with the environment, and getting know what are the policies and process, getting know who all are working with you in your team and who all are assisting you. So if you gradually process the first quadrant of the situational leadership theory, that is, you get to know your organization, get to know your people, get to know your supervisor, get to know your colleagues. So this way, initial obstacles can be overcome. But the manager has got a very important role here, the coaching, helping people to cope with the organization. Because otherwise, an individual without understanding his or her role in the organization, he or she will not be able to deliver in the long run. So understanding the role perception should be very clear. If the role perception is not clear, in that case, there will be a lot of obstacles. So these are the very basic thing. And going forward, yes, there are challenges of your enablement, because when you go in the workplace, you have a lot of challenges. So you have to have continuous interaction with your supervisor and the line manager. And this is how you get to make yourself enable with the environment. Because if you are engaged, the next challenge is you have to be enabled. You will have a lot of challenges, and those challenges you have to win those challenges. A coach has got vital role in playing, in helping you enable with the organization. And then comes the challenges of empowerment, because once you go through, you learn a job, you become an expert of something. Definitely, each and everyone wants the freedom. The freedom of doing something at his own. So it is the line manager again. He will assess your suitability, when to delegate something to you, when to empower you with certain things. So these are the stages. I think I could make you clear.
Yeah, I think it's another important perspective to the same question. I think BJ wants to add something to the same.
Yeah, I would like to add a couple of things in addition to the answers that both of you gave. And one of the challenges that you may face is, what's the current status within the organization? So, I have clients that if you were working for them 6 months ago, they were in growth, and now they're in recession proofing. And so suddenly the status of the organization has changed. And so as an HR professional, you've needed to flex from where we were in growth stage to now, what do we do when we're in recession proofing, when we have a hiring freeze, how we need to get people get more from existing staff, and even reduce headcount to a certain amount. So the challenge can happen when there's a situation that changes what's happening with the organization. And I think another challenge that I've heard from the HR people is, the expectation of what we want is very rarely written so clearly on your job description. The job description is a concept of what your job is, but there's going to be things there. So it's getting clarity on what that expectation is, and then the style of how your manager wants it done. maybe you're in your role, suddenly we get a new VP of HR, and they come from another organization or they come from another culture, and they have a style of how they want things done. You know, some want great elaborate reports and some want just give me the bullet point bottom line. And so you'll need that flexibility as a challenge to be able to adapt as the style changes. And, you know, in HR, one of the things that I see that we're always looking for is access to resources. And often, certainly more in the older school, the first place where budgets were cut were in HR. And so having to fight for the resource or to do more with less, these are some other operational challenges that I've experienced show up for people, for HR professionals.
Thank you. So Omi, you got a lot of inputs for your question from all of us. It's such a good question which came up. In fact, there are some questions which is again getting coming back from those who already their questions were taken. So I will try to bring them later. I'm trying to give everyone an opportunity to have your question out here. And also some of the questions are already answered as well. For example, Nishat Tabasum had a question, what are the main 4 areas for HR? And I think when I talked about, you know, starting from recruiting and placement and inducting, development, evaluation, there's also succession planning, career planning. So those are some of the key areas. So some of these are very direct questions. I'll quickly give the answers when I can, so that we can also go into some of the deeper questions as well. Now, Sunny Khan has the interesting question which says, sometimes we saw that HR is not authentic. What is the solution here? And there was a similar question which came from, which talks about the HR policy is not equal to all. Yeah, I think it's again from Sunny Khan. It says, we saw that HR policy is not equal for everybody. What is the solution? So the policy is not the same. Sometimes HR is not authentic. So can I request BJ to try to take that question, those 2 questions together?
So the first I heard was sometimes we see that HR is not authentic.
Yeah.
And and sometimes it's not equal to
the policies are not equal to different people, different types of maybe employees or divisions or levels might have different policies. That's kind of what I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and so let's take a look maybe at the easier one perhaps, which is policies are not equal for everyone. Well, yeah, I mean, that's just true. Not everyone gets a company car. Not everyone gets the same amount of vacation. And so what the specificity of which policies, I don't know, they're probably different in every organization. There are some that must be common throughout an organization, you know, like on harassment and those kinds of things. But otherwise, yeah, I believe that policies would be different. And as for not authentic, I'd like a little more clarity. I'm not sure what we mean about HR not being authentic. If you wanted to add more information, then, you know, I think our panel can help you with that one a little bit better.
I think we can wait for more clarity if there is any from that. So right now, I'm happy to introduce Mr. Faisal Imtiaz Khan, the Chief Human Resource Officer of Robi Axiata, who is here. It's really nice to see you here, Faisal. And I'm sure the next generation leaders would really love to hear from you with regard to the various HR perspectives. We have already had some interesting questions, and I'm sure there's more coming in. But the format for us today is that all of us would introduce ourselves first within 3 minutes, a quick introduction and a key message, something which you believe in is so important for the success in HR. So if you can give a brief introduction of yourself and a key message or a concept or some idea which is close to your heart, but which is going to be so useful for everyone. So may I invite you to speak for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Ranjan.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good
So,
to see you.
and I'm also good evening to the other panels and the listener who are listening. So, yes, I am Faisal. My full name is Mohammad Faisal Imtiaz Khan. I'm working with Robi Axiata since last 10 years. Before that, I worked with Lafarge, Reckitt, and even before that, I was with Bangladesh Navy for long. So I have a diverse kind of experience, both in directed and indirect environment kind of thing. So this is short about me, and I was very prompted by the very question. So I don't know. I'm just getting into that very first at the very outset. That's HR is not, or how HR can be authentic, or HR is not authentic. The very question you were asking him. So in modern days, if you see the HR authenticity of HR mainly depends on the data provided by the HR. Data generally HR provides for different purposes. So people generally believes or have a perception that in sales or in marketing or in technology kind of thing, IT, where you have numbers and numbers to deliver. So it can be very well monetized or can be quantified on the contrary. So that's why sometimes you see that HR people are only talking. They don't have enough evidence to back them up. So that's where the authenticity comes into play. So if you, I'm sure the listener who are listening, and I'm sure you all know about the evidence-based management, which is very popular in nowadays and people are practicing. So similarly, HR also is similarly practicing this evidence-based management. I can talk about Robi, and I'm sure the other industries are also doing, I'm sure of that, where it's not only about data, or not only about data you are talking about, it's evidence means not only data, evidence means enough support of the statement or enough support of the work, enough support of the whatever the philosophy you are actually delivering to your employee, you have to have enough support. That might be your practices, that might be your procedures, that might be even some of the incidents, some of the which has a track record or trend, which supports whatever the statement you are making, or what are the kind of communication you are actually doing to your listeners or the employees. So I think in modern days, definitely there are HR authenticity, and it's large, using at large in most of the companies. If you talk about HRIS, HRMS, HR data analytics, things are going at a different level. If you are talking about the use of AI and the BC, means blockchain in HR, these all are actually giving authenticity of the communication which HR is doing to their own employees or even to the other parties. So with humbleness, I like to say to all the audience who have this kind of question, definitely HR has higher authenticity, and that's why the acceptability of HR is also growing high in the community. So that's in short my studying. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for that question. We were trying to look for more clarity, and I suppose you gave it. Mr. Shabbir Ali, I do understand that you have to leave now. Is it time for you to leave, or how many more minutes have you got?
I've got 5 minutes more.
Okay. Before you leave, Kamrul Bhai would like to come in and speak a few words. So before that, maybe we'll go for one more question, and then
sure.
we'll ask you to make your closing comments, and Kamrul Bhai will come in to speak a few words. We have a question from Pooja Sakha Molly, and she says that, and I think this can be directed to Shabbir Bhai, how a student prepares herself to take a HR profession during her campus life. During campus life, what do they have to do to prepare themselves to take on HR profession?
Well, Ranjan, is it a question to me?
Yes, I'm directing that to you because you're also leaving, and we want to get the maximum from you before we let you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. In fact, in campus life, there are a lot of opportunity to get prepared for HR job because, as I said, the things that we basically require from a HR professional at the entry level is the basic communication skill. So practice your communication in your close group, because this is a very important thing. And understanding others, I mean, listening skill, communication skill, the tech savviness, as I said, I mean, these are not taught in any subject, not in any university. So it is the thing that each and every student in the campus life they have to practice this thing. I mean, there are a lot of ways to improve communication nowadays. There are a lot of ways. I mean, you can get in by doing communication. Yes, you can improve your listening skill as well. And there are some other opportunities like participating in different events and going with the people. This is also very important, because if you remain confined, if you do not talk to people, if you do not mix up with people, because going with the people, this is also another skill that we look for in the new entrants. Because if someone feels that, what do you do? We ask usually in the interview, what do you do in the holiday? Usually people say that I watch TV, then I read newspaper, I watch drama. These are the usual answer we get. But in HR, we would expect someone more. I mean, you spend your time with people, get to know the crowd, go outside for a gathering with your friends. So these are, I mean, you have to be associated with people. So in campus life, practice your basic thing like leadership. Yes, you can lead a football team, you can lead a cricket team, you can lead many other things. There are a lot of opportunities. Even you can lead a picnic, you can lead a excursion trip also. So you play your role, and all these examples you can easily quote in your future interviews when you will be asked that, what do you think about your leadership skill? What do you think about your team skill? What do you think about your communication skill? So you can refer many things that I have done all this practice in my campus life. So this should be my hint to you for the student when they are at campus. This should be done, and don't forget about your technology skill, which is very much important, because starting from your hands.
Yeah.
What is this? And do this tech savviness, because without this Microsoft Office skill, I don't think that organization is nowadays not going to recruit anyone. Not in HR, no function. I mean, you cannot imagine that if you do not know the tech savviness, in that case, people will probably prefer you less. Thank you.
So thank you for that answer. And can I invite Kamrul Bhai to come on the show to show gratitude and speak a few words before Shabbir Bhai goes off? And meanwhile, Shabbir Bhai, can we have your closing remarks? If you take another minute or two, overall remarks to wrap up your session. Yeah.
I would say that for the fresh student, I mean, those who will be aspiring that how to take HR as a career, I must say that yes, it is very exciting career. HR is no more only HR. HR is working with business, the ability to work with the business. So if you aspire that yes, you are going to take HR, you decide first what sort of organization. Is it a manufacturing? Is it a banking? Or is it a service sector organization? Whatever may be the case, you get to know yourself, get to introduce yourself with the type of organization, visit the organization, manufacturing or whatever may be the case. If it is a service organization like telecom, you go and visit the telecom organization, get to know the people, talk with them, and get to know the inside before you are going to prepare or appear any interview. So for the freshers, it is very important that get to know the profession that you are aspiring, that yes, I'm going to join as HR in an organization. In that case, please go more and more in depth in the practical circumstances that will help you. So, and the rest of the thing that I said, those are definitely, it is there. And I think I wish all the success. If you take interest into organization, if you take interest into business, your career will be successful, no doubt.
Thank you so much. Wonderful answer, and we're waiting for Kamrul Bhai to come in. Meanwhile, if you, we can also have a comment from Mr. Faisal on the same question about how to prepare yourself. As you speak, we'll have Kamrul Bhai coming in. We're just trying to get him online.
Okay. So actually, in line with Shabbir Bhai, the way he was telling that, yes, this is very important to have the tech skill in modern days, even for HR. Though still, I think that if everybody starts doing all techie kind of thing, then where the human kind of part of a human being would be, might be perishing away from our day-to-day life. So on that note, I think as an HR professional, or if any students want to become HR profession, definitely the software skill which always was there, is there, and will be there, those definitely need to be inculcated in. And however, in terms of getting successful or become successful in this modern era, or getting yourself ready for the modern era, definitely during your study time, try to acquire some modern skills, like, because these modern skills do not require exact institutional or educational kind of pass through or path through. So that's why while even doing your study, you can have a certification on AI, you can have a certification on IoT, you can have a certification on blockchain, you can have a certification on analytics. So which simultaneously during your study also you can carry those on. So thereby it will be helping you while you are passing out from your educational institute and joining the corporate. You are ready not only with your educational knowledges and supported by the modern technologies which most of the companies are looking forward to. So that's the advice. I'm sure Shabbir has talked about similar kind of thing, and I really admire that, and I really with the comment which he made.
Fantastic. We have Kormo By here. Mr. Shabbir has to go now, Shabbir Bhai. So over to you.
All right. Thank you, Ranjan. I thought you were enough to thank him for his contribution, and we're grateful to Shabbir Bhai, definitely, and also Faisal Bhai, and of course, BJ as well. So thank you, Shabbir Bhai. We're glad that you have made some time for the young graduates of the nation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Please
much.
stay here as long as you like. I like to also give a little advice to the question about how to prepare yourself. I would also like to advise you to start reflecting on what is the purpose of your life. Why are you in this world? And the purpose is about, how do you use God-given talents to be of service to this world? And once you answer that question, you'll see which area, which arena, which industry, which you might be most happiest or most effective. So find that area and then learn those skills a lot, plus the supplementary skills, what you just heard from both Shabbir Bhai and Faisal Bhai, all the supplementary skills, plus focus on your core area as well. Really learn about it, as Shabbir Bhai said, go visit those companies, do an internship, read books, watch videos, just put your time and life into it, in your purpose. By the way, purpose is something which is so fluid and such a complex thing. It's a journey, a lifelong journey, like Lord Buddha once said. His point on purpose is, he said, purpose of our life is to find our purpose and do it most wholeheartedly. And my feeling is that even on your deathbed, you may not know it, but at least if you take that beginning, that will help you to move forward. So with that, can we have the questions coming up? I think it's about middle of the show. Kormo By, it might be a good time to have the quiz now that you are here as well.
Sure. Let's have the quiz for the student. And just 10 seconds, student, just answer A, B, C, D. If you can have the quiz on the screen. So just very quick, answer A, B, C, D. Meanwhile, we are also giving out some award for becoming, influential leader. If you want to become a leader, we have a chance. And if you want to become a knowledge seeker, we have also chance. What you got to do is just submit the session summary. And if you're submitting 10 session summary, you will get 1 book, 1 certificate, and 1 crest. And if you're becoming champion into this category, you will get 5 books. For the runner-up, 4 books. For the third place, you get 3 books. So 5 books, 4 books, and 3 books. Of course, the crest and certificate is a bonus. And what else? We will invite you to join the live session, and we will introduce you towards the nation that you are champion knowledge seeker. And for the champion, I'll coach personally, to build one of the habit that can help you to have your dream career. So that's for the knowledge seeker. Waiting for the quiz on the screen. Can we have the quiz, Computer Mahashay? What is performance management? Establishing expectations with employees, designing interventions and programs to improve performance, monitoring success of interventions and programs. All the above. A, B, C, D. Just make sure quick type A, B, C, D. Fastest responder will get quiz master badge and certificate both, if you really would like to have. And rest of you super achiever leadership, and if you really want to achieve your leadership, my guru John Maxwell said leadership is nothing less, nothing more than that of influence. So how can we influence? For influence, you got to stand out, you got to show up, you got to attract people, you got to invite people. And if you're inviting other students to learn the free soft skill from our platform and to join with us, at least 1,000 people to learn the free soft skill, you will get a certificate, a crest, and a book. And the same way, if you're champion, you will get 5 book, then 4 book, then 3 book, and this is on. And for the women, those who want to build the career into the finance, we are giving away $100,000 worth of scholarships. At least 100 women will get, and it can be up to 200. So it can be $200,000 of worth of scholarship. One of our keynote speaker, he has given out this, and you can build your career globally. So this is women in valuation world. So this is world-class professional degree. Each value is $1,000. So apply simply info@ckhnotnetwork.com. You see the email here. So this is your chance. Women, please grab it. So this cannot have been better than this. Ranjan, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And please do grab the opportunity. I mean, this doesn't come all the time. When it comes, just take it. Those people who go right to the top, grab the opportunities. They were looking for it and grab it. So go for it. Let's go to the next question. And this is from Nisha Tabasam. And the question is, how to manage a multicultural workplace? What are the strengths and what are the weaknesses that you would need? So I suppose when you develop yourself to manage multicultural workplace, what would be the strengths and weaknesses that might help and hinder managing such a workplace? I would like to pass that question on to BJ. I'm sure you do have a lot of multicultural experience, especially your work in the Middle East. Some of those countries are so multicultural, and even in Thailand. So let's hear from you. What is your experience of managing multicultural workplaces?
Okay, well, thank you for that, the question. And let's dive deep here a little bit in what this is. First, what is culture? Culture isn't real. Culture isn't like this metal mug. Culture is a societal agreed set of norms. It's behaviors that we have done often enough that they become invisible to us, and we just think that's the way it is. In fact, you're really almost not aware of your culture until you go to some place where the culture is different. Then you go, well, that's not like how we do it back home. So first, we start with the foundation of what is culture. So we get that culture isn't a real thing. It's just a set of behaviors that have become habits. In our organization, we also have a culture. And this is one of the things that HR is really responsible for. And it's one of the things that we want to do within an organization is we don't have a culture that comes by default. We have a culture that comes by design. And so when we understand, as Shabbir was talking about, understanding the business process, what the organization's about, what is the culture that will serve that organization? So we want to design a culture, first off, for our company. And our organizational culture sits higher than everyone's individual culture that they bring in. Even in a unique cultural environment, even in a Bangladeshi company in Bangladesh with all Bangladeshi employees, even if they're all from the same province, there are still going to be conflicts because people have their slight differences. That's where we design the culture to say, hey, this is how we do it here. So that's the first bigger part, which I think is an answer to the question. Then we start to deal with the people, and we have people who have different cultures. And how do we deal when there's, sometimes it will show up as conflicts or disappointments or frustrations because people have behavior traits, which could be cultural or could be personality. And so how do we deal with that? And that takes us to one of the opening remarks I made at the beginning is HR development. We want to be able to coach or assist our team, each individual, through a behavior trait, again, by design, so that they don't have to compromise their values, but we want to adjust enough to where we can fit in. And when we do have multicultural people from multiple organizations, part of our onboarding is, here's the style of how it works here. That's even in the interview process. This is how we work here. Is this a type of organization that you want to be a part of? And so people should know when they sign on what they're signing on for. That would alleviate a good chunk of the issue right there, I think. And could I ask anyone else on the panel to add to that? Anything?
I have a particular question based on what you said for Faisal Bhai. My question is that when you hire someone, do you try to get people who fit the culture, or do you try to bring someone who has the required expertise and try to sort of mold them to fit the culture? And what is the practical challenges you face trying to do this in whichever approach you take?
Ranjan, there are both sides of the coin, other side of the coin also. So if you said definitely while hiring, the firstmost or the foremost thing, any organization, it's not about me or my organization, look forward definitely to the skills. Might be softer, might be harder. So there are competency-based interviews. So you have all the competencies set for that particular job you were interviewing in, which is fine. I'm not very sure what the other corporates are doing, but in modern practices and different school of thought is also admiring that culture fit interviews, because we are looking forward to culture fit people for my organization. Skills can be built in, skills can be accumulated in, enhanced for however we can do that. However, the culture is a concern area where if you lack that, or if you're, I won't say lack is not the right word to use here. On the contrary, if you're not hiring a person who is the right fit for your organization in terms of culture is concerned, so it is generally difficult to mold a person at professional level culturally and then adjust to the organization. So my advice or the way actually I operate is definitely culture fit comes at the foremost for me, and then the skill set goes for me at the second. And that's how I see things in modern days also.
Yeah. Again, I would sort of subscribe to that thinking. I'm sure some of you must have come across Jack Welch's interesting models, which is the number versus values. If you take a matrix, on the x-axis, you have those people who get the numbers and don't get the numbers. And on the y-axis, you have those who live the values and don't live the values. So the stars in the organization who are those who live the values, which is culture, is that. Culture is based on people having the values and get the numbers, so we need them. However, he would say that, of course, you should not even have anyone without the values and without the numbers, which is, I sort of term them called garbage, because you don't have that kind of thing in an organization. But if you take those people who have the values and not the numbers, their values are there, but the skills are not there, we call them rough diamonds, because they can be easily polished. They're still valuable. They can be polished to give. So that's what you're saying. We can bring in those rough diamonds who have the values, because values are learned on our mother's knees. You can't teach people values. This is happening from your childhood. And the tough one is those people who get the numbers, don't live the values. There are some people who are highly skillful, get the numbers on and off, but they don't live the values. the way they behave, they upset the culture, there's selfishness, there's unhealthy competition. What happens then? And a lot of the brave leaders would be willing to let go of them, because we call them spoilt milk. Having them may spoil the rest of the milk as well. So I think for all the audience, I take this into heart. A lot of the progressive companies will not only look at your skills, they will also look at the values. And when you're selecting the organization, find the organization which fits your values. So have the values, develop them, nurture them throughout the organization. Basically, the basic values are there. I mean, it's common. I mean, this is what you learn in our religions and everything. And if the organizational values are built on those finally. So organizations will look to see, even, have you got even the beginnings, so that you can fit into the organization, because everyone may not have it 100%. Have you got a 70, 80%? I suppose that's input I would like to give on that aspect as well. With that, I would like to go into another question. This comes from Sabrin Biswas. It says, if my team members are selected by the authority, then how should I maintain my team dynamics? Or what ethics I should spread among them? So they're selected by authority. That means the higher authority has selected someone. But maybe your question shows that the team dynamics are not there. The person who has been recruited is not fitting in. How do I manage the dynamics? And may I ask Faisal Bhai to try and answer that one?
So this very question take me to my MBA days back in 90s kind of thing. So there one of my professor at that point of time, he was an ex Toronto U of T's of faculty professor, University of Toronto. So he told that while the purpose was a bit different, though I'll be linking in after a few minutes. The purpose was the purpose of this discussion in that particular class was on what do you say, the way we actually we maintain our network in a work environment, and why we should networking kind of thing. However, the concept was, he was telling, if you want to make yourself ready for the organization or want to get a job in any of the corporate, you need to have competency and connectivity at equal. Means, he said, if you have competency 50%, connectivity 50%, means if you're a highly competent person having a very good skills, maybe soft, hard, and all the skills, and you lack connectivity, so thereby you might be a very proficient, efficient person in the corporate. However, you are not being attracted by the right company because you are not maintaining a good network. On the contrary, again, if you have a very good network, you have your, what do we say, that you have very known people at the top of different corporates or in the of your own relatives, you might get a good job due to the connectivity. However, if you lack competencies, so that job might not be sustainable in the corporate where you are getting that in. Because in a very sooner or later, it will be clearer to them that you are not the right fit for that role. You just came to that particular role through some connections. The way this particular person has asked this question is almost similar kind of to me. That's why I'm linking it. That yes, by the authoritative power of the senior management or some other connection or networking, someone has got a job. Networking I see positively, however. So the way he said this is a negative kind of networking, understood that. So if you're getting a job, yes, it is difficult. It is difficult sometimes to maintain that person's teamwork in the team where they all are working. However, in modern days, generally this kind of what should I say, hippo kind of this recruitment are generally not happening, because you need to have your relevant skills and cultural fitness kind of thing with you. Otherwise, generally, even with the help of the senior management or the authoritative power kind of people are not actually allowing people to get entered. However, even if that there are some people getting entered into your organizations, don't worry about that. Don't consider that particular part of the information that he has been recommended by someone and he has came only through recommendation, but he lacks skill. He will not be able to sustain in that organization because his unskilledness or the less skilledness will be would be coming into the surface very soon. So he will not be able to sustain in that particular organization. So don't worry about that very news that he has been coming to the organization through an authoritative power. Don't concentrate on that. That will help you to manage that particular person with who are within your team. So that's how, Ranjan.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think BJ has an answer as well. We also have Ferdous Yusuf, who has just come in, CHRO of bKash. We would like to recognize him as soon as he comes back on screen. Meanwhile, BJ, would you like to give a input? And before you start, I'm requesting the audience, please give us more questions. There's an amazing panel here waiting for your questions. And if you haven't answered any of your questions, please type it again, because it must have got lost inside with the other questions. BJ, over to you.
Thank you. I want to add on to what Faisal has just said. And this is not just now someone comes on my team, how do I get them fit in, but to think more as HR development. Team dynamics, are your team dynamics something that happened by accident? Is it just something that is a result of evolution? You people work together until you ended up with a certain team dynamic? Yeah, then when someone comes in, maybe they don't fit in. Ideally, what we're looking to do is to have a team dynamic that's by design. And in developing groups and developing teams, there are a set of processes that you can do. There are, an example is we have rituals, how we start a meeting, how we end a meeting. We have a shared purpose, a collaborative purpose that everyone got to talk about. So, excuse me. So these are some things that we develop so that we have a structure on how we create a team dynamic. And then when someone comes in, at least there's a methodology, there's something that they can plug into. If it's just a clique that we've been working together and now we're like good friends and someone new comes in, it's also not very fair for that new person, for them to come in, because how were they supposed to know all your hidden rules and language and signs? So one thing I would say as an HR professional when we're coming into HRD is that with all of our teams, we want to have a team dynamic by design. So what's our structure? And, I'm happy to share some, if I had another hour, ideas on this. But it really starts with what's the purpose of our team? How do we inspire the team? What are the roles and responsibilities that team members have in addition to their job? How we have meetings and things like that. And what are the rituals that we have, how we start meetings, end meetings, our own little team culture that we can then educate that new person to help them fit in. If there's a roadblock, if they can't quite adjust, then often you bring in an executive coach to help work with that person to develop the behavior traits that are either getting in the way or that will help them fit in easier. I hope that adds a little more to a sort of a conceptual level as well that we can take throughout an entire organization. Thank you for giving me that chance.
So right. It's such a deep area. We could keep talking about it for the entire day itself. And finally, we see Ferdous Yusuf from the CHRO of bKash here, my good friend. I met him about 20 years ago, and we work closely even now. So good to see you. I'm finally happy to see you in here. The format today is that each of the speakers would initially do a self-introduction and give a key message, some message which you think is close to your heart and useful to the audience, the young generation of university students and the young professionals here, some key HR message, and I think that will help them to build questions on that for you. So could we invite you to do a quick 3 minutes, something about yourself and a key concept or a message or an idea or a thought to the audience. Over to you.
Thank you, Ranjan. Thank you, all others. I hope I am audible.
Yes, you are. Yes.
I'm having a very bad internet today throughout the day.
Can hear.
Can you hear me?
Can hear. You can go ahead. I can hear you.
I just switched off my
fine.
I just switched off the cam because I'm having that internet issues. Okay. Thank you, everyone. It's indeed a good opportunity to address all of you. If I give my introductions, my name is Ferdous Yusuf. Working for last 20 years, few months already. I joined my professional career back in 2000. Graduated from University of Delhi, then joined in a multinational company named Unilever. Worked there for 16 years in various roles, including some regional roles. Then in 2016, joined bKash. Yeah. I'm a HR professional, but I'm not a born HR. What I mean, I'm a build HR. So I started my career in sales and marketing, worked there for almost 6 years, then moved to HR. So I believe this is one of the best thing could happen in my life. If I started only with the one function, I would have seen only one part. Now I'm blessed. I have seen both sides of the table. When I was in not HR, sales and marketing, I knew what the expectation from a HR and what organization or what that poor fellow who are based in Thakurga, a remote place, maybe in Bangladesh, in northern part, what he expect from a HR colleague. So I have done that job. I've done that for 6 years. I was posted. My initial posting was in Dinajpur. So that time I knew that what are the supports would be required from HR. So that's personally helped me to build my career in HR. So that's something I'm always grateful to the God, because He has given me that opportunities. Uh, if I want to say what are the things I look at from a person, forget about professional, basically how what I look at the person. The core things I look at: the attitude, a value, built-in value that person, what uh, he talk about, what he think. Because see, what I strongly believe is skills can be learned gradually, but the attitude, the own values, own ethics is very important for a person. So for me, if I want in every interview or every time I meet someone, uh, I always look at their softer part, how they assess surroundings, what are the assessment criteria they are using, assessing the surroundings, assessing the other human, what are the their ethics in a difficult scenarios. See, everyone is honest if everything is smooth, but you will find out the real honesty when you put someone into difficult scenarios. Like I give this example. Like if somebody try to brave me for a say $10,000, I will say no. But if somebody try to brave me for a say $1 billion, what would be my stand? At that time, if I say no, that is for me the values. Because sometimes we say that now this guy is very honest. Have we tested what are the difficult scenarios he has come through, which gives a certificate say that yes, I am very ethically strong. And I believe every human is the best judge. They know themselves, nobody better than anyone. So if for everyone, I would expect you need to have a very strong ethics. You need to know who you are. You need to know what you are doing. You need to know what is your contribution. If you can make a contribution to a single life in your entire your lifehood, if you make a single contribution to a single person, entire your livelihood, I would say you have done good job, man, because you have made a contribution to one single man or single woman or a single human being is a big achievement. But it has to be a significant, you have to drive it, not a tick mark. Most of the case we do lots of things for the tick mark, but end of the day, the job, whatever you do, you need to stand in front of you in a mirror, and you should ask what I have done today, what my contribution today. In Bengali, I say in that, in every night before going to the bed, I ask myself, আজকের স্যালারিটা কি আমার হালাল হয়েছে কিনা? Have I done the required things to do for this company? If I don't do, that means my income today is not halal. No matter, it doesn't that brave taking a ghush is something is haram. No, if I don't do my job, is as good as that. So you need to have good values, you need to have good ethics, and you should be dedicated where you are. You should be given your 100%, so that nobody have ever question about yourself. So Ranjan, those are the something I look at from a individuals.
Thank you. And it's so interesting. We were just talking about the same concept of values and ethics. And it's so nice to see. And I suppose all HR people now, the really good ones who make a contribution, have this in the core. Now, something which is interesting connected to it, there are some many questions in this area, and I would like to bring that out. And this is about qualifications. What type of HR qualifications are needed? So I will quickly run through the questions. So we have this question from Azmira Shampa, which says, which are the best HR certificates we should have to become successful HR manager is one question. Then there's another one related to that. Nowadays, we saw that some institute offers PGD in HR, must be postgraduate diploma in HR. Is it quite enough to enter the HR profession? Then there's another question which says, which are the best HR certificates we should be to become HR manager? I think it's the same question by Azmira. So there's so many questions about the certification. I have completed a BBA recently. Is that enough? So can I have your thoughts about not only what certificate, but the importance of qualifications? Is there anything more we need than qualifications? I think kind of Ferdous touched on it a little bit, but I would like to ask Faisal by your take on qualifications to enter HR.
Thank you, Ranjan. In modern days, actually, what happens while we are hiring people, because maybe I'm a bit biased by the industry I'm in. So my question might be a bit biased, but I will try to give a neutral answer kind of thing, however. Because in modern days, we are doing something where we are actually not looking into the qualifications in terms educational qualification is concerned. We are looking forward to qualifications which might be supporting your additional skill to support your job. The way I say that if you can have also certification on artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchains, IoT kind of thing, all the modern techie kind of things. So those are not exactly the education or the qualification we are looking forward to. On the contrary, the young students should have this kind of qualifications embedded alongside with their educational curriculum, so that they become fit for the organizations wherever they are applying for. On that note, if you talk about only this certification is concerned for entering into HR, I don't know if I heard someone who have done a very highly professional degree in HR. I don't want to hurt them also, but it is the way Ferdous said, that he was in sales and then he converted himself into an HR because he had that attitude, he has that passion, he had that all the right blends where he can serve people, because serving people is a passion. Everybody, sorry for my bluntness, that everybody do not have that passion. Do not. I want to say do not have that passion. However, that doesn't mean that you don't care for your people, you don't care, but it's about passion. That every corner, at every aspect of your life, you are actually looking forward how you can do a better benefit to the employees or the people surrounding you or around you.
Yeah.
So that's what the passion is all about, because you don't care about what returns you get, what success you are making. You are actually not bothering about that, but still you want to do something for the people. So it is kind of that definition of democracy, that for the people, by the people, and the kind of the statement we make generally for democracy. So it's similar for people. It's for the people, by the people, and really you mean the people. So if you have that passion, if you even do not have a particular degree from HR or in HR, like BBA in HR administration, or doing an organization development master's kind of thing. So not exactly those help. I'm sure those help. Don't get who are already trying to do those education. They might say, "Oh no, we do not do that." You do that, please. That's definitely going to help you. Definitely, whatever you would be learning, you would be benefiting the people who would be coming in contact with you. Because Dalai Lama's that very quote: "Whenever you are speaking or you are talking, you only say those things which you know. Whenever you are listening, you learn many things which you don't know." So on that note, so whenever you are going through some good qualifications in terms of if top education is concerned, definitely if you're doing an Harvard graduation on law or on political science or on some behavior, so definitely that has some impact. I'm just giving a name of university which is well renowned and everybody knows about it. That's why I'm just giving an. All other universities are also good, very good. So, yeah. So it's not that without those educational qualifications you are unable to enter into HR profession. I really don't believe that, and I'm sure there are many examples in Bangladesh, in around the world, where people doing very good in HR and they have become almost a coach, motivator, counselor in HR, because even they are not coming from a proper HR background, kind of means education background. So I, as a person, don't really believe that in order to get an entry into HR, you require a exclusive qualification of HR education. However, if you want to have some qualification in certification kind of thing, you can have those. Those are sorry, added advantage to your candidature while you are passionate about HR. If you are passionate, then only you do all those certification. If you're not, don't do those bosses, not required.
Yeah, so thank you for that answer. And there's a connected question which I will come to BJ now. But I think I fully agree. For me, certifications are only like the entry passport. Once you enter, the rest of it, I mean, and that is also if the organization has minimum criteria that you need to have this type of a degree for this job. And if that's the criteria, then get that so that you can enter into the organization. But as you rightly said, you need to develop your the values, the passion, find the right area, make sure it's purposeful, all that. And for me, sometimes in any qualification, what is most valuable is not at the end of it, the qualification, but the process of learning. Do you really learn and engage and do all the reading and the practical work and go, look at those organizations, and that makes the difference and makes the person. And don't forget to go and do your sports and other things. For me, again, similar thing. I did mathematics subjects, then I did marketing and all that. I did management, never done a HR qualification at all. Although I am doing a lot of work in that arena. And of course, my interest went into psychology, NLP type of work. Now into sociology. I'm doing a PhD right now in organizational change. So there's nothing HR in it. So it's not HR per se, although a particular organization says this is essential, then go get it. But at the end of it, do some qualification which will build you up fully. And finally, after you enter the organization, it is a matter of, are you able to perform? Are you able to fit the culture? Those are the things which I suppose go a long way. So the question I want to connect it to that, to put to BJ, is that there's this question from Afraza Abida, which says, what type of mental growth is needed to be an HR professional? So this is what is something outside the qualification itself, but mental growth. And being an NLP practitioner yourself, you might have a good answer for that, I suppose. So just over to you. And then we'll hear some thoughts from Ferdous on the same topic putting the mental part and the qualifications and everything put together. BJ, over to you.
Okay, so could I just hear that again? What is the mental what?
Mental growth. How do you
Mental
grow
growth.
mentally? Mental growth, maturity, strength, whatever it is. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, and you're right, Ranjan. Like linking this to NLP or neurosemantics, which has a rich history going back to, you know, Maslow's first looking at human potential, like what could people do more, and the mental growth is, you know, Ranjan and I were talking earlier off camera about the self-mastery training that Ranjan teaches, and something that I do through neurosemantics, and understanding, I guess, where cognitive biases come from. Like, what is a cognitive bias? What is a neural pathway? So getting some understanding of how this thing in here works, because it does a lot without our permission, right? It doesn't check with you before it makes an executive decision. And so I think the understanding of how our brain works, and you know, doing some courses in neuroscience would be fantastic for that, because once we get that, we can then look at behavior from an entire different perspective, and we can help people adjust, expand their behavior from a very different perspective. So that understanding of how this 3% of our body weight, this gray, these 80 billion neurons, just getting a little understanding. And I would suggest Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow, as a tremendous step forward in understanding how people work and why they do what they do. You know, if we're gonna develop people, let's first know what we're working with. So I would suggest that, you know, going back to Alfred Korzybski's book, Science and Sanity, where we start to learn how language impacts behavior. His book led to transformational grammar, which was something by Noam Chomsky, which is one of the foundations of NLP. But understanding those things, I think, would be just not only for HR, but for everyone, especially for HR, would really serve you when you hear people speak to you, when you hear conflict, when you see behavior, when you have this deeper understanding of how that stuff in there is working. It will serve you in matching what people need to do to what the organization is looking for, to help you resolve conflict, to help you create team dynamics, to help you build an organizational culture. Understand the raw material, and not only that, your personal life will be so much better. So that's my answer on that.
Yeah, it's such a broad area again, but it's so important to develop your mental skills. And I suppose I recommend everyone take an NLP course. You'll learn how to visualize things, how to motivate yourself, how to give up bad habits and erase bad memories, and build rapport and get rid of your phobias. All these are so important in your role. So I recommend everyone to go do some NLP related course. Ferdous, anything to add to that question, to certifications and mental growth, and anything else you think needs in this session?
For the first question, the certification, I echo with what the Faisal was saying. See, is human resource what you are talking about? You are talking about human, and I don't think so. There is any certificate can understand, give you a certification that you understand human, because whatever the number of human we have in the globally, the billions of people, all individuals are unique. We have community 60-70%, but 30% being the, you know, the twin child. They are, if you look at the twin child, they may look same, but the personality, they are not same. So having a certificate for to become a successful HR, I would love to have that certificate, and I will the first person, no matter what the fees is, I'll go for it. Because see, the first thing what Faisal is also saying, you need to have that people personality. Like you need to love to mix with people. You need to love to understand people. You have a passion to read people what they are doing, and this should be a factor which energize you. Is not like I want to be HR profession, but the first thing I would ask, forget about the HR. You need a certification for some professional or high skilled or particular type jobs. But most of the jobs, other than like if you want to be the developer, of course you need to have a Java. If you want to grow yourself as a physician, you need to have MBBS degree, or lawyer, you need to have a law. But other than that, HR, sales, marketing, all these are general job. And there is, like, I have never done any course in HR in my life. I am a marketing graduate. I start my career selling soap.
Like
yeah,
me,
but
marketing.
I found out then I found out the things, because see, most of the student, I meet most of the student, I ask them why you have chosen marketing, why you have chosen HR. That elder brother said, father said, or I believe I'm good. Is natural, because the age they are in, it's difficult for them to identify what is their real passion. What everything is, the best thing is if you find the job which gives you energy. There's nothing called right job in this world. Job is a job, it cannot be 100% right. Yeah, you need to have some compromise, but you need to identify a job which gives you positive energy. So how you'll find out what are the things you love to do. You don't feel tired. Are you feel tired listening people? Are you do you love to give a space to someone for vent out? You need to ask those questions. These are something a HR professional questions you need to have. Like, do you use the God gift? What is the God gift? One mouth, two ear, in the proper manner. If you use
Right
opposite, then
proportion.
yes, if you use in opposite directions, you're not for HR. Because HR, you need to hear more, talk less, and you need to talk in such a way with that trust and empathy to that person. So you need to process, so that the information goes from here, comes over here, it process, then it comes over here and it say. So you have to build that trust. And how empathetic you are. Do you feel when somebody is really not doing good, is tear comes in your eyes? If it doesn't, don't try to act, because acting is good for a daily soap or for a cinema for 3 hours. But for a career which is 20-25 years, it will be difficult for you to act every day. In one day, what will happen? You will lost yourself. You lost what you are. So for a human HR, I would say the quality of being mixed with the people, understanding people, and echo with them, sympathetic, empathetic, and trustworthy is like people in your friend. Do they find you trustworthy guy? In your friend, do they come and vent out? So these are the pulse check in your student life. You understand that. So if you have all those things, yes, you have a good career. What you need to learn in HR, you need to learn the process, how to do the learning process, how to do the recruitment process, how to do the organizational development process. Those are process, those are skills. Don't worry. And if I believe I'm a very average guy, because and I'm a strong believer God has distributed brain democratically, but I used average. I did not use high potential like maybe Ranjan or Faisal Bhai or BJ. I use average I'm average guy. So if that average guy, without having HR, bookish knowledge, so far, Alhamdulillah, successful. I believe if you have that people thing inside you, you will be successful. And don't worry about the process. Process you will learn wherever you go. So that's how I look at the certification. But again, I would say certification is good. Do certification, but certification, don't waste time for the certificate. It's like, I work, I talk in very normal way. I'm not very diplomatic person. I'm very cutthroat. Certificate is required to get a right groom. After that is all your quality, how you maintain the conjugal life.
Yeah.
So your certificate is required to get a job.
Yeah.
But that certificate will never give you promotions, because after getting the job, nobody is going to see what degree you have done. Have you done PhD or not doesn't matter. You will be compared with someone else by their performance, by the impact they do. Yeah. So that is something. But please do the certificate. But what I will say, if you are doing a HR, if you want to do HR, do a certificate something different. Do a certificate in big data. Do a certificate in Internet of Things, which are going to be the next thing. That will give you age of one leap, because then you gather a knowledge where the most of the HR guys don't have, which are skills based. So you get some skills which may give you extra push to your peers. So that is something I believe in terms of certification. And the second question is the mental growth. For me, ages is nothing, is a numerical number. Mental growth is, I look at the things is individuals. You are the way you assess situations and you handle the situations. That gives you an indication of your mental growth. So what you need to do, if you have come across a difficult scenarios, how to deal with the scenarios, you need to have a mentorship. So mentorship is something is very important for a young professionals. Like, because I have seen the professional life for 20 years. I don't know how much I learned, but of course I have learned certain things. I have seen certain elements of professional life, which may give you some, it may help you in some way. End of the day, you have to take your own decision, but it's better to have a mentor whom you can share and assess your thoughts. And for the mentor is that mentor, they don't push their thought into it. They first learn what you are thinking, then they put the things into the right track. So that's the mentorship. So for the mental growth, don't worry about all those big these are the jargons. Mental growth for me, don't worry about mental growth to become successful. Of course, you are working in some company, that means you have the required mental growth. So that's all, Ranjan.
So thank you. I think our time is almost close to the finish time, close to 9 p.m. Bangladesh time. So there are some very interesting and important questions. One was kind of connected to what you were saying. It's about what about the other skills, use of things like AI, and sometimes we use such data and technology to recruit people and get people sort of selected, shortlisted before interview. So that was another area. But I'll just talk about these areas, and in your closing remarks, I would invite all of you to maybe pick one of those areas and talk about it, but just for 2 minutes each in the closing. And another very interesting question was, and in this pandemic, he's written epidemic, but I'm sure it's not epidemic yet, pandemic situation, mainly labor, if we look at that question, labor or low-class employees are losing their jobs. Can HR keep them employed with change and with some management systems or whatever it is? So the question is, how do we deal with people losing jobs and managing them? I know this is such an important point. I know some companies somehow keep them going, some have to lay off. So that's the question. So there was one. So this is one question which came up, and one of you can perhaps answer that during your closing remarks. And then we have the other question. Let me quickly find it for you. This is to do with things like artificial intelligence. Yeah, here we go. Do you think HR function? This is from Estanul Kabir Russell. Do you think HR functions are going to be confined to learning and development? The way technology is moving forward, AI is doing initial screening and supporting recruitment processes, automation in core functions of HR. I see HR function is leading towards L&D or leaning towards L&D. What is your take on this as HR leader? So there are two big questions. We'll need about another 3 hours to cover both of them. But maybe a quick comment by each of you as you do your final closing remarks of about 2 minutes each. Can I go with Faisal Bhai for your closing remarks first? And then we'll go to Ferdous Bhai and then BJ. Yeah.
So in short, as the time is not allowing us, so it's okay, fine, absolutely. But we are making our closing remarks. Is it okay, Ranjan?
Yeah, make it part of your closing remarks. Yeah,
absolutely. So
yeah.
So the very first one regarding losing job. So I don't think all the companies wherever you are at the bottom of the pyramid or even at the top of the pyramid, it is not about you are at the bottom of the pyramid, that's why you are losing job. It is not the concern or not the case. The case is about your industry is being hit hard through this very pandemic of COVID, and that's why the industry is not doing good, and the future of the industry also not show enough potential. So that's why those companies might be, maybe laying off their people. And there are many other industries which is booming. So on the contrary, you can also see that there are companies which are doing good. Those industries are coming new, or the existing industries are also doing good. So it is all about that the industry, the very pandemic is pushing some of the corporates to do so. It is nothing, it's an HR matter kind of a thing. So for the way I see it, it's all about the environment, the external environment is actually pushing you to do those. So it's to overcome this particular thing, learn those skills which will be needed for the area where we are moving after this COVID or in a new normal situation, which we very often talk about. So let's learn those skills and then convert your aspiration or your job profiles in line with those, so that you can be adapted in any of the other industry. This is one. And the second one, he was talking about the HR professionals, whether it will be confined only with the learning and development. Not exactly, because there are many things in HR profession. On the contrary, the clerical nature of HR job, the repetitive nature of HR job, or the very basic nature of HR jobs, it's not only HR, it's for all the jobs are going to be taken over by machines, which is whether if you talk about tech or if you talk about machines, RP or whatever. Okay, but the other thing of HR, the way actually we are coming from HR perspective, the way also Ferdous said very clearly and very loudly on the contrary, that this is all about attitude. This is all about the other behavioral part. Like you can be a better coach than previous. You can be a better mentor. You can be a better helper in terms of helping people to grow. So these all skills, which is not repetitive in nature, on the contrary, helping people to develop their own human behavior, where HR will be coming very strong. Even in post-COVID days, if you see, during COVID days and even post-COVID days, HR profession has gone even more important, even to the top management. The way earlier you used to see HR, in this particular COVID, which we have taught us that still HR, earlier it was important, now it is important, it is going to be important even further, given this particular situation, because you need to help people in their learning and development, where definitely only machines cannot do it alone, I'm sure. And that's why HR profession is, as it was earlier, it is going to be more important in the future days. That's how I might take out from this overall situation which we are in. Ranjan.
Thank you so much for being here. And we'll now move on to the closing remarks by Ferdous Bhai. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Ranjan. Thank you. So the first questions, I will not talk anything because whatever I want to say, Faisal Bhai has covered. So there is no use of repeating because maybe 80% common. So better we focus on 1%. Second questions regarding the HR. See, the HR has transformed in Bangladesh. Before 2006 and post 2006 HR has two different HR. So earlier the HR was a reactive HR, which is in nowadays we talk HR operations. That was the HR known as like recruitment, training, payroll, comp and benefit. These are the and administrations are the known to be a HR. But if you look at currently the HR function has evolved in different way. The concept of business partnering, it cannot be taken out by the machine, because now what happened, HR is sitting in the business. Earlier people used to come HR and HR known as a gatekeeper. So you knock the gate, they will open the gate, yes, no, get out, or please come. That's all. But nowadays that gate is there no more. What we do, HR sits in every function as a functional manager. They understand the functional requirement, they wear that functional head and give assistance to that function, the HR assistancy. So now function don't come what skills they require. This is the understanding of that HR guy sitting in that function. He assess proposed function, these are the skills you need, these are the input intervention you need, these are the new people, new role you need. So these are now HR is also moved. HR is quite smart. HR understood, the HR leaders they understood one day machine is going to come. So they evolved a role called HR business partners. Otherwise today we'll be in a difficult scenario. Because operational job would be taken over by machines.
Yeah.
And this is good. Like then it can assess data in 1 microsecond, 1 million data and throw you the number. But it cannot assess the human touch. So HR business partner and the new way of HR, of course, L&D is one of the big portion. Then expertise area, the reward areas. So it cannot be taken. So now the HR is going to evolve in a different dimensions. So it's more of like I see in next 5 years, we'll have a HR mentor in HR functions. So now we have HR business partners. In very soon, maybe in 2 years time, I'm going to do some experiment on this, having a HR mentor for a functional resources. So how you support them mentally, how you support them to boost their energy, nothing about the skills, because end of the day, if you're fully energized, if fully you can boost your pump your energy level up, you can do the skills job, you can learn that skill. But to make you more productive, that boosting is where somebody has to pump it regularly, so that the energy level goes up. So HR is going to flourish and is going to be, or is already been, what Faisal Bhai is saying, very important part and parcel of top team. Nowadays administration is not part of HR. The administration is different department, is operational stuff, is mainly the strategic part. The HR the HR heads are supposed to run, understand all the business goals, the business functions, because HR doesn't have any functional barriers, doesn't have any the kingdom, my kingdom is sales, my kingdom is technology, my kingdom is marketing. No, HR has the entire organization is there, so they can assess neutrally and give input to all the stakeholders what are the requirements. For that reason, now HR needs to be more involved into the functions. Thinking about HR, you'll never be successful in HR, in my opinion. You now need to be a very good business manager, and the HR will fall through. So that's what my intake, what is my opinion. I may be wrong, but that's what I do believe right now.
No, it's
That's all, Ranjan.
fantastic, and it's fantastic and very practical. So we got two practical closing remarks from the two august HR professionals here, and I'll now go to BJ. BJ, 2 minutes for your closing remarks. What's your take from an overall global perspective and a more Asian perspective of HR?
Okay, I'll do it. Running late. I'll do 1 minute. You know, the last question were: is HR confined to L&D, and how do we do with losing jobs? And tie this into what Ferdous was saying about HR is cross-dimensional in the organization, and his earlier comments about other certificates. Yes, we have AI. Yes, we have Internet of Things. One thing that we see HR is taking a bigger role is we see organizations now having a chief people officer. We see HR is sitting in the C-suite. And HR's contribution to the C-suite is not just about business process, but the humanity side of it. It's human resource. And one thing I think we'll see a need for is the study of philosophy. How do we make decisions in an organization? So the question isn't how do we deal with losing jobs, but should they lose their jobs? Yes, we have AI, but should we bring it in? If we do this, at what cost? What is the moral implication? What is the human implication? These are not something that are as tangible as numbers or other KPIs. And this is a role that there isn't anyone else in the organization is equipped to have this conversation. So I think this deep area that hasn't really been explored in organizations is something we need to look at, specifically with the addition of more and more technology.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Such amazing insights from everyone. And I'll give my final comments and then pass on to Coach Kamrul to take it to a close. I've been totally touched by the entire process of 8 days. And I'm reading some final comments on the chat where people are saying, you know, this is such a sad day. We are going to miss all this after 8 days. Also predicting that the cultural show will be quite emotional. But I wanted to just remind that how blessed we are to have such great personalities coming and giving of their knowledge, 80 plus experts in this area. How we are blessed to have the team from CKH network working day and night to take this going. How we are fortunate to have and how we are blessed to have sponsors like Augmedix and IPDC Finance, Prime Finance to support it. And more than anything, how we are fortunate to have someone like Coach Kamrul Bhai to really dream of this and make this happen. So I would like to share, at every session I finished off with a poem, and I'm going to do my favorite poem because this is the last day. And the name of the poem is Forgive Me When I Whine. And here whining is about complaining and grumbling, not something you drink, that's something else. So it goes this way. Today upon a bus, I saw a girl with golden hair and wished I was as fair. When suddenly she rose to leave, I saw her hobble down the aisle. And then I saw as she passed me that she had just one leg and she wore a crutch. But as she passed a smile. Oh God, forgive me when I whine, I have two legs, the world is mine. Later I stopped to buy some candy, and the lad who sold it had such charm. I stopped a bit and spoke with him, if I were late, I'll do no harm. And as I left, he said to me, I thank you, sir, you've been so kind. It's nice to talk with folks like you. You see, he said, I'm blind. Oh God, forgive me when I whine. I have two eyes, the world is mine. Later, as I walked down the street, I saw a child with eyes of blue. He stood and watched the others play. He did not know what to do. And then I stopped and asked him, why won't you join the others, dear? He looked ahead without a word, and then I knew he couldn't hear. Oh God, forgive me when I whine. I have 2 ears, the world is mine. With feet to take me where I'd go, with eyes to see the sunset glow, with ears to hear what I'd know. Oh God, forgive me when I whine. I've been blessed indeed. The world is mine. So, ladies and gentlemen, please remember how blessed we are to be in such a wonderful country with such wonderful universities and organizations and parents and family, and of course, CKH to guide you through. So thank you so much for being here. It's my honor and pleasure to sign off and hand over to the maestro himself, Coach Kamrul Hassan.
Thank you, Ranjan. It's always pleasure to have your poem to end, and there is nothing to be said after the poem. Only the thank you for all of your outstanding contribution. Definitely Faisal bhai, Ferdous bhai, and BJ for making the time from out of your busy schedule. We are about to begin another schedule. Very briefly, thank you all for being here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you.
Real pleasure.
Bye bye.
Thank you. See you. Bye.